Welcome to your horoscope for Pluto in Aquarius. This video, you will be hearing your horoscope for what you need to know when Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, is in Aquarius. And I have the collective video I filmed about it over on my YouTube channel and on Spotify, where I talked about the themes of Pluto and Aquarius and what it's about, like breaking free from negative limiting institutions and governments. It could also be innovating in technology. I mean, all these things I talked about very, very in depth. And I would definitely go hear that video if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of information that I go through in that. I think you're going to get a better picture of what this transit means if you go check out this video. Now, if you're watching on Spotify, you're watching this because you want to hear my full take on the signs. And it's like if you're curious and you just want to see the whole thing, then go to Spotify. But if you want to know how it applies to your sign, go on YouTube, because on YouTube, I will timestamp the video so that you can see, what it means for your sign if you want that approach to it. I just do both so that you have the option. So I want to jump right in because there's a lot here. I'm going to start out with Aries. So, the thing is, with Aries, first of all, looking at Aries, sun, moon, or rising sign. And by the way, follow this for your sun, moon, or rising sign. That's what this is for. So, Aries. What can you do to change your life? What can you do to alter your life around? Maybe you have been doing the stuck same old patterns, the same old things over and over again, and maybe you need to change it up now. So, what are the new ideas? What are the new ideas that you want to implement? Because Aries has all these creative ideas and all these things to act upon to make happen in their life. So it's about opening up to all those new ideas, all those new possibilities of what you want to put out there in the world. So, what new ideas do you want to think up for your life, and making them happen? That's very, very important to consider with Aries energy. It's the very, very first thing. And then Aries can get very, very caught up in its temper when it comes to because Aries can get so wrapped up in the emotions of things. And they can easily lose sight of what is objective. Like what is rational. Like Aries can act in very, very irrational ways because it is so tuned into what it is feeling, what it is experiencing on that level, where it's so reactive when it comes to what others say to them. And, basically Aries is reactive and temperamental because of others and the resistance to others telling them what to do. And if they feel like they're being told what to do, they're being told how to be, if there's something that they disagree with, they will be willing to fight about it, and they will actively fight about it. And it's often not themselves that makes them temperamental, but it's often the outside world that makes them temperamental. So, getting out of that, being so, well, when somebody pushes your buttons and you become so temperamental, it's good to look at the rational response to this as opposed to just the immediate impulsive reaction. Because you can, easily just act out of impulse and make a wave in something that actually costs you the ocean. That actually costs you the whole thing. That actually costs you a piece of that relationship because you didn't know how to manage your anger. You didn't know how to rise up into the mind and use it in a more positive Aquarian ways, and this is an Aquarius transit. So this is a time to break out of your box. What are those limitations that are going on in your life that hold you back from being your true self? Limitations of others or governments or institutions, any inhibitions that you have when it comes to being yourself. Any family member telling you you can't have what you want, you can't go after what you want, or any friend making you feel like you can't express yourself and open up to them, and you have to be a certain way around the friend, like the relationship is a conditional relationship. Like where you feel like you can't be yourself and openly express yourself, that's where you sort of need to ask yourself, like, how, like check in with yourself and see, is that limiting my self-expression? Is that limiting just me being myself in my life? It's time to think of creative ways of rebelling. Also, not only about this, but if you have any limitations, what is the creative way? Not the creative way that won't, be like aggressive, because at worst you are so restricted and you rebel in an aggressive way. Like Aquarius is not aggressive. It's very caught up in the mind. When you're caught up in the mind, you're not so emotional. You're not so reactive and aggressive. So, it's really about just finding rational ways to rebel against these limiting structures. So it's very much about rationality here with Aries. And then also looking ahead into what you can do in the future. Looking ahead at the future, seeing what can I do for my future, what can I do for others' future that may be of a great blessing to me and others, of a great savior of me and others. So looking ahead into the future with what you want and what ideas you want to implement, to sort of future pace, like, because there is the future and it will come eventually, so you might as well start planning for it and plan for what you want to have happen at that time. Now, moving on to Taurus. So Taurus can get stuck in ruts. It can get stuck in following certain rules and conforming to things, because it does this because it craves stability. It needs stability. It likes comfort, and so naturally, if you like comfort, you don't think that you're just conforming and obeying authority that you don't want to obey, but you do it because you're just uncomfortable with change and breaking out of that. So you're allowed to break these rules, because there is that part of you, there is that small part of you, like there is that familiar part of you that wants stability, but there's also, looking deep inside you, if you really tap into that part of you, a part of you that also needs your freedom. Like we all have a part of us inside of us that needs some kind of freedom, some kind of liberation. And so can you tap into that part of you that looking at just in your life, like where have I been restricted? Where have I been, like I've been held back? Because Aquarius often feels that way, and Aquarius squares you, and it's sort of asking you to consider that. And the other thing is, Taurus is here to enjoy all the yums of life, like the nice food, the nice clothes, the the birds that sing, the trees, all the love of nature. Like Taurus is here to be present in the moment. Has any factor in life kept you from doing what your soul desires to do? Like, sometimes I just want to, get out of the work and the structure and the routine and the changing of society and the unstable changes of society, and the ones who are in their heads and intellectual. I just want to say to them, ground, be present. Be here and now. Enjoy all of what your five senses can offer. So if there's any life circumstances that is keeping you from enjoying all those senses and keeping you from your own security, like making you feel not so secure inside yourself, now's the time to do it, say it in a very deliberate way, like you're a very deliberate sign, and calmly say, like, no, I have the right to enjoy what I want to enjoy. I have the right to do what makes me feel good. I have the right to be worthy within myself. So that's part of it. And then the other thing is, Taurus can get so, closed in, so stuck. Like they think that they're, they focus on the money, the wealth, the preparing of the food, their own home, their own job, their own things. But actually, this is a collaborative transit. And so, can you get out and interact with others? You can achieve all of your goals when it comes to stability with others and not being so stuck in just your own small life. Like your own small life of at home, I'm on the floor, I'm cleaning the floor, I'm sitting and listening to my classical music, I'm ironing the clothes, I'm brushing the hair off the wall. And this is saying, get out and meet people and interact. And so Gemini comes after Taurus, and Gemini says to Taurus, Gemini teaches Taurus about the power of open-mindedness. And Taurus can be kind of closed-minded because it's so fixed in its ideas and things like that. It can learn from Gemini and can learn from Aquarius to be more open-minded to new ideas. So that's very healthy for Taurus. The other thing is, there's expectations, for you in your life. Like you may feel like you are expected, like, looking at those who expect you to earn a living and make money. Like go out and, do the job. Like I knew a Taurus who was very concerned with, the job aspect of it and learning. He was born in the Capricorn decade of Taurus. How are these expectations of going out and making money and having a stable job limiting you from calm, peace? Like Taurus is here to prioritize their inner peace. So where have these jobs and where have these secure, material positions interfered with you in your inner peace? Where have you been, like, it's kind of like, you're so busy working because you feel like you have to work, but you can't just enjoy the nature or enjoy beautiful music or food or like slowing down because these jobs and this ambition keeps you from slowing down and really milking all of these pleasures and really living an embodied experience of all of these pleasures. So this is what you can look at because we have to consider what the signs are meant to do, what they genuinely want to do. I think that's very, very important to consider. And Taurus wants to be here now and maintain stability. So there you go. So what kind of technologies can you use for stability? Like listening to Spotify music on your phone. Like, you're listening to this podcast on Spotify probably, or, YouTube, or like a video that shows you a recipe that you find online that you want to prepare, or some type of technology that when you're on this technology, it just grounds you and it just stabilizes you. So considering that is also very, very important. Gemini. Moving on to the mutable air sign of Gemini. Gemini is a people person. They live a people lifetime. And so they kind of, can get along with anyone and everyone, really, just talking, very, very open, very, adaptable, very social, without limits or without rigidity or without conditions. A very, very, it's very unconditional sign because it's a very free sign. Like, you can get away with talking to them and, do all that. They're quite kind of, mutable signs, except for Virgo, probably. Or just, they have a carefree quality to them, I find. And they have a quality where they don't restrict you, or they don't put you in conditions, or they're not stubborn with you. They just sort of go along with what you do and are very, very adaptable to what you decide to do. However, the downside of this is becoming more rooted in healthy ways. Not like, I don't think it's becoming mean and closed off to others. Like, you're not becoming closed off to others. What you're doing is drawing healthy boundaries and saying, I am breaking free from this, and I'm liberating myself from these people that I'm talking to that are keeping me so stuck in my head, that are keeping me from meaningful conversations, but instead keeping into me the superficial conversations. Like, you can look at, the relationships that are just like small talk and, like talking about all this stuff that is, just like how's the weather and very, very superficial stuff. And, talking about things that you are not interested in. I mean, you're interested in everything, anything and everything, but, it may be not something that you're particularly interested in that you may have to open up your mind to. And so, how can you, have your own ideas and have your own sense of ideas instead of just going along with other ideas and um, other people's ideas, and just forming your own ideas and forming your own conclusions to things, like stepping into the autonomy of having your own ideas about things, is really what this is about. And then, thinking not in terms of your community, but how is what I am doing impacting a larger group of people, not just my immediate surroundings, but how can I impact humanity? How can I impact the world with what I'm doing? Like, a good example is to put yourself out on social media and share your thoughts and share your interest in what you're doing on social media and impacting others in that kind of way, with, putting yourself out there and impacting a large group of people. Like, this podcast, The Vastness of Google, is like that, where I am sharing information combined with my own ideas, and other people are seeing it, and eventually this podcast is going to reach a wide group of people, and I'm freely sharing my ideas, and they're hearing it, and they're listening into it. So, putting yourself in situations where a wide group of people, instead of your immediate surroundings, can listen to your ideas. Now, with Pluto and Aquarius, we can get so, we can lose sight of our emotions because we're so, we're so consumed with logic and rationality. And so, can you tap into your emotions? Can you tap into that feeling part of you that is connected with your heart? Geminis, can learn from Leo. I mean, they do sextile each other, but Leo is an energy that is very emotional, very tapped into its heart, and Gemini is so it's tapped into its head. So, tapping into your emotions during this time, not getting so swayed by the, and I'm going to use caught up and, consumed by a lot. Just, bear with me on that. Those are just the words to use, and I do have Mercury in Taurus, so, I hope I don't get into a rut with my speech. I hope it doesn't sound repetitive to you. I don't want it to sound like that, but anyway. Because you can easily become so logical and so rational that you lose sight of your emotions. And Gemini can kind of be unfeeling, because, like, Gemini is not very intuitive. Like, it has to know it has to kind of know, like, it has to be able to hear it and get it through its mind intellectually as opposed to just feeling into it. Like, it's not very feeling, and that superficiality with, like, somebody shares this emotional experience and you don't want to give in to the emotion because Gemini doesn't want to do the whole emotional thing. You just want to intellectualize it, and in that way it desensitizes that person. It's like you're desensitizing them. You're being insensitive when you tap into ideas and other ideas because you're not tapping into what that person is going through on an emotional level and using your words to help them with your insight and your ideas to help and support them. So that's another way that you can really utilize, tap into your emotions in that way. Like, tapping into that's very, very important. And then getting together with, getting out in your community and, meeting people and collaborating and, and making things happen and sharing ideas. That's what Gemini is really here to do. And if you've been so stuck and you feel like you couldn't do that and you couldn't interact, well, now's the time to break free from that limitation and get out and meet the people that you want to interact with. Cancer. So Cancer often hides themselves away, hides their emotions away about themselves. And it's often aspects of themselves that they're not willing to face. It's often what it comes down to is having emotional truths about yourself that you're very, very aware of. Like, you're very, very tuned into these emotional truths. Yet you struggle to face them. Yet you struggle to look at them in the eye and go, that is what I want. That is what I'm really feeling. That's what I'm really experiencing. And so how can you sort of take a sort of natural approach to it? With not an approach like, I'm suppressing all these feelings, but I'm naturally leaning into the feelings. So, when it comes to this, it's about, being willing to face those shadows, because Pluto is going to knock on your door and say, are you willing to face all those shadows that you're not willing to face? Because Cancer is afraid of leading into the motion because it's afraid that it's going to be rocked off course. It's not going to feel safe. It's not going to feel secure. Like, Cancer wants to feel safe. It's the most important thing for Cancer. Like, it wants to, if it doesn't feel safe, then it doesn't feel good about itself and good in its life and comfortable in its own skin. But sometimes, you are meant to lean into your emotions and embrace all of your emotions, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad. So, you're meant to do that in this life, Cancer. So, so lean into those feelings is what I'm saying during this time. And, you are far away from rationality, and we don't want to get caught up in rationality. So I don't think, I mean, you may have a lot of air in your chart. It's not just the rising sign, but just if you have a lot of water in your chart, you're not, the most rational and all the things. But maybe you have Cancer rising, Cancer moon, or sun, but you have a lot of air and you're so rational. Like, but just, this is a very general reading. I'm just going to say that you are far away from getting caught up in that, so there's no real worries there. However, another thing is, how can you band together with families? Like, how can your family and another family come together? Cancer is also not about just home and family, but having pride for your nation, having pride for your country. And Aquarius is about humanity and large groups of people and nations. It's very, very collective. So what kind of family, what really, really considering for the good of humanity when it comes to your family and other families, not just your family, but families, the sake in general, becoming very, very humanitarian with that and having pride not only for your country, but also making families better, like innovating family issues. Like, I know, Cancer who does this is Super Nanny. She goes around and helps these families who, has issues, like their children are misbehaving, the parents are not getting along, there's a divorce in the family, there's issues with setting timeout limits. Well, you can look at these issues of families, because family, like having a harmonious, healthy relationship with family, is so important to you. So Aquarius is asking you, how can you revolutionize the dynamic that goes on within families? And how can you sort of, change that up in a way? And so, with also, what also comes to mind with this is, expanding, your circle, not just your family, but with other families. Not just with your family, but others. Like not, like it's okay to not be so, always focused on your family all the time. Like, Cancer is just so emotionally attached to its family. Like, yes, be concerned. Look at families not so much through an emotional lens, but through an intellectual lens, through a humanitarian lens. That's what you're being asked to do during this time. You're being asked to consider. And part of this is maybe getting outside of your family. Thinking that you don't have to, be so, be only tied down to, to your family, but that you can also interact with others in the world and not just your family. Like that can be huge for Cancer. And then the other thing is, where, where do you need to embrace change? Cancer is afraid of change. It doesn't like change because it's like it's gonna make it feel emotionally unstable. It's gonna make it feel sad or anxious or scared or ungrounded or in a feeling of discomfort. So, this is really looking at how have you been stuck in the past? Like stuck in the old ways of going about your life, the old, traditions and the old emotional patterns and the old sort of systems of, what you have, created in your life. And how have you been stuck in all these patterns? And where is it time, like, okay, I can break out of this and I can embrace change and I can be, have the security to know, like, I'll be fine with this change. Like having, like, self-trust is so important for Cancer, because part of self-trust is like feeling okay in your own skin, that you can be comfortable with change. Like, you know what? This change will be scary. This change will be rough, but I can handle it. And so that can really, really help you when it comes to embracing the change, because Cancer needs all the security it can get. And so you're being asked by Pluto and Aquarius to embrace all the changes that are coming at you that can really help you. And these changes often will help you feel more emotionally secure. Like this is like about being in a comfort zone that is so stuck. Like notice the comfort zones that you're being stuck in, and how can you get out of those comfort zones to embrace change and really lean into the part of you that will feel better when you embrace the change. Like you'll find it so liberating to just embrace change and to change your life up. Like, can you liberate yourself from your fears of this? Like, can you face your fears and embrace the change, Cancer? So, Leo. We need you, Leos. We need your energy during this time, because I made it very, very clear in that Pluto and Aquarius video that, with Pluto and Aquarius, we can become too rational, too logical, too cold, too detached. And your mission in this life of how you can help the world is to shine your light for others to see. Like, share your creative gifts. Share your creativity. That's what Leo is here to do. And then, remind us of the importance of connecting with our hearts. Remind us of how valuable connecting with our hearts really can be. Because that is so valuable. Connecting with that part of us that just feels, that has inspiration, that has love, like heart-centered love, like the real feeling of passionate love. Like, you're here to remind us of the importance of tapping into our hearts, because during this transit we can neglect that, and you can help us remind us of that. And that's how you can help humanity, because Aquarius is about serving humanity. And so, you could actually get caught in your opposite sign polarity. So, Leo can, where have you been disconnected from your heart? Like, where have you not allowed yourself to tap into your heart energy? Because when you're caught in your ego, you're caught in logic, you're caught in rationality. Like, the ego is made up of that. And so Leo at the high level is connected with its heart, with its creative life force energy in that way. So where have you just been disconnected from this part of yourself, and where do you need to reconnect with it? Where have you not been allowed to express your creativity? Like, you have all these creative gifts and all these creative talents to offer to the world. It could be painting or singing or dancing, but whatever the creative is to you, it could be building something, it could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be being able to work with computers and find creative solutions to problems. Like, I know my a family member of mine is very, very close with is a Leo, Sun Leo Mercury, and is very, very, very good with computers. Like, he works with computers. So, um, so, you know, so how have you been limited? Because it's like Leo is here to be themselves. Like, where have you not been allowed to shine? Where have you been held down under a hard fist, an iron fist that says, you can't be creative. You can't express yourself. You can't be true to yourself. Like all these conditions, because Aquarius looks at you rebelling against the conditions and allowing them to fall down. And then the other thing is, Aquarius is about humanity. So can you also not only share your own light, but also, be open to others sharing their light and recognize others expressing their unique light out into the world, because Aquarius is openness to others. Like, that's also Leo energy, is the open-heartedness aspect of it, not just expressing from your heart, but open-heartedness, because it's tied into feeling. And when you're tapped in your heart energy, you are open. And so, being open to others, sharing, their unique light with the world. So can you be open to others being authentic and sharing their light, as well as you bravely and boldly sharing your light? Okay, Virgo. So Virgo's here to clean things up. Virgo's here to put things in order, wants things to be in a order. This is this energy. And so during this transit of Pluto and Aquarius, what is the mess that needs to be cleaned up? Like, take your broom and clean up the mess. What are the patterns? It could be the bridge that you're walked on that is crumbling. It could be the living room that you continue to clean over and over again and you won't stop cleaning it. It could be that meal and that step in the meal that you prepare and you're not moving on to another step in the meal. So, whatever that detail is, or whatever that pattern is, where you need to release this, is very, very important for Virgos to consider. Like, how can I let go of this? Because Pluto asks you to let go of it. So you consider letting go of it, letting go of what doesn't serve you, to make space for something that does serve you, and to live a cleaner, pure life, because that's what Virgo seeks, is a cleaner and pure life. And in order to do that, you have to eliminate what no longer serves you. Like, Virgo is excellent at doing that. That's one of the great things about Virgo energy, and you can easily have awareness and recognize what needs to go, what is taking up space that needs to be cleaned up. So can you use this transit to clean that up? Also, this is not about sticking so much to logic and fact in a way, where you're rigid about your thinking. Like Virgo can be, just so rigid. Like, these are the facts. This is what I know. This is what is true. This is what is real. This is what is malleable. This is what is feasible. This is what makes sense in the logical mind. So Virgo is very, very skeptical over what is not fact and what is not proven to be true. But Aquarius questions things. Aquarius makes up new realities. Aquarius invents new ideas, new inventions about the new innovative ideas that haven't been come up with before. So you're invited to get out of your rigid thinking of logic and move into a more innovative side of logic, which is Aquarius, a more advanced, higher up thinking side of logic. So Virgo is very, very tapped into the logical mind, but at worst, it can do this in a critical, very skeptical way. Aquarius is inviting you to become more open-minded and open up to all this, and have more progressive ideas. And the other thing is, you can get bogged down by details. That's the Virgo pitfall, is getting bogged down by details of the past. Like past details. Past details that you dwell on from the past. Like, you criticize yourself. Why didn't I do this? I should have done this. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Instead of looking to the future. Instead of looking to the future, like, what can I do in the future? How can I become a better person in the future that is different from who I was in the past? Because Aquarius is always looking to look at how you can be different. But Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, so it's about learning from the past and revolutionizing of the, the future. So, for you, it's about looking at your past regrets, and looking to the future to see, this is how I can become a better person in the future. This is how I can revolutionize my life. So that's very important. And also, becoming more objective with your life, but not in a way that disconnects you from your heart. Like, not becoming overly rational and logical. Because, Virgo fails to tap into the Pisces qualities of compassion and heart. For example, like Pisces is its opposite sign. But in this case, it's disconnection from your heart. Like, with Pluto and Aquarius, we're being invited to connect with our heart. We're not invited to get caught in the shadow of Pluto and Aquarius, because if we're talking about Pluto, we're talking about shadows. So, it's okay to, you're meant to be logical and rational and embrace new ideas and be up in the mind. But don't forget about your heart. Like, wherever you, like bring this into balance with your heart. And follow your heart. Like approach details, your Monday life, cleaning and organization from a heart-centered place, because it feels right, as opposed to this is just the logical thing to do all the time, and this is the logical thing that's right. Like, you are allowed to do this in your life, and so that is something worth considering during these 20 years. Now, Libra. The positive side of Libra energy is coming together with others, collaborating. That's the positive of Libra energy, is coming together and talking and sharing others' ideas and others' perspectives. And so you can come together with like-minded people. and share ideas. Like Libra is about getting out and meeting people. It is great at relationships. It has a strong, Libra has a very, very strong pull and attraction and hunger for interacting with others. It just wants to go out and form new relationships all the time. Like Libra is a cardinal sign, and it initiates the relationship that it starts. Like it's willing to put itself out there. Libra is willing to put itself out there and go up to people and meet them and interact and harmonize with them. Like Libra has it's like a yearning. Kind of eats, sleeps, and breathes doing this. That's Libra energy. So how can you like come together with these like-minded people and communicate and form those relationships with them that share your common interests, that have that are very, very interesting to you, like that stimulate your mind, that you can easily harmonize with. So it's very intellectual in that way. So and then part of Libra energy is the scales, and part of being balanced is being balanced within yourself. And so how have external authorities, this is a very, very big thing with Pluto and Aquarius, how have external authorities at the top power disrupted your inner peace, your inner peace of being? How have they done this? Because if they have disrupted the inner part of you that just needs so much peace and so much, love and, attention and desire and craving, that is where you need to put the light on in your mind and really, really have the awareness to look at how they are disrupting my inner peace, my inner sense of equilibrium within inside myself, my inner sense of balance and harmony inside myself. So really, really looking at, the authorities telling you can't interact with these people. Like authorities telling you, with Libra, it's often, and often these authorities remind you of the harsh qualities of life. And Libra doesn't want to look at the harsh qualities of life. Libra wants to look at the light side of life, the beautiful side of life, the open-minded side of life. Like it doesn't like to see people in a negative light because it wants to see everyone as good. Libra sees the light in everyone, really. So it likes to see the good and light in everyone. And these authorities that have conditioned you into this hard reality, how tough relationships are, and da-da-da-da-da, all this conditioning, how has that not made you feel secure and peaceful and living from the inside out, with yourself? So we're looking at is very, very important. And also, Libra, on the shadow side, can get really, really caught up in, well, I'm in this pattern of relationship that is not for my highest good. So, and right here and now, I'm going to be doing something. And so, what is for your highest good meaning? How are these relationships? I'm going to go into this a little bit with you. How are these relationships going to help you on the spiritual level? How are these relationships are going to help you grow? Because if they're not helping you grow, then that's not very, very good. Like Libra wants to grow through relationships, and do all that. So because if these relationships are not helping you to grow into a better version of yourself, and that's one part of that doesn't give you inner peace. Another part of you is that hurt your well-being, that are not good for your well-being, that don't give you a sense of peace. Like part of your inner peace involves growing. Like it's often when we feel like we grow, we're like, oh, I've grown, I'm a better version of myself, so now I feel inner peace within myself. So and And we also feel at peace when we're connected to our purpose. Like when we feel like we are on purpose with our lives, we feel at peace. And Libra's purpose is relationship. So the relationships that bring you to a place of peace is very, very important for you in that way. And then the other thing is okay, so these relationships not giving you inner peace. It's basically, what I was saying. So not only authorities not giving you inner peace, but relationships that you were stuck in, and you're like, I can't harmonize with the person. This person drains me. We don't agree on the same ideas. I don't like the way they talk. They seem condescending. As I'm saying this, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as best I can. All these kind of things, like getting stuck in this. And so, also Libra is a sign that's actually very scientifically minded, because it's about, humanity and how can we be balanced and all that. I don't necessarily know the connection for that. But it invites you to look at, the human mind and how the human mind works, and what it needs in terms of relationships, like how we are social creatures, and really getting to the intellectual ideas, like exploring how we are social creatures and how we all need balance and harmony, like getting into the intellectual idea of this and exploring it, like learning about it, in a way where then you're finding solutions through that intellectual bird's eye view, a perspective looking at the human psyche and on socialization. You can look at how you can improve. And, Libra ultimately wants to create more balance and harmony for the world. Libra wants a fair, just world where everyone is harmonious to each other. And so this trans is asking you, what can you do for the world that can make the world a better, kinder, more just place? So Libra is about fairness and justice. And if you believe in that so strongly, like Libra is a cardinal sign, it wants to go in there and make it happen. So going out into the world and making all these things happen with us is very, very important. Now, Scorpio. Scorpio may feel like they cannot fit in. There's this feeling of not fitting in because of just wounded around being at that window in that house where you look out and you saw the world and everybody going out, and you were stuck inside your own house because of that negative emotional drain that you've gotten when you were probably growing up. Like Scorpio is very, very familiar with the negative experience that it has, and it holds on to those negative experiences that it has. So feeling like you don't fit in, feeling like you are the black sheep, um, um, and feeling, part of this is feeling like you're not fit in, is feeling ashamed of your shadows. Like if you feel ashamed of your shadows, you feel like, I'm different from everybody else. I have these shadows that nobody else has. And Scorpio is very, very connected with its shadows, because that's what Scorpio is about, is a shadow. So Scorpio in this life is learning to do shadow work. And shadow work is how you can evolve in this life. It's not about repressing the darker, deeper parts of yourself, but doing that work to heal and integrate those shadows very, very easily, so that you can transform into, that you can transform into somebody more healed. So, this is about, not repressing shadows, but facing them, moving through them. Because that's your ruling planet Pluto is asking you to do this. Like you live a life where you are familiar with that energy, and through your whole life you're asked to make Pluto a friend. Like Pluto is saying, face your shadows, do the shadow work, and if you've been, resisting that, now's the time to get out of that. So, And then, it's very, very hard for Scorpios to get out and meet people because they're so private and they're just, if you're so ashamed of your shadows and so ashamed of those darker, deeper parts of yourself that you want to deny and disown and repress, then it's very, very hard to talk about them with others. So you first have to talk about them with others, and then you can go out and get outside of yourself. Like Scorpio can be so depressed about life, so stuck in the deep, dark emotions of life that it misses the fact that of doing things with others. Doing things with others that can really help you. Because that's Scorpio's talent. Well, not talent. I shouldn't say that. But getting outside of yourself and doing things with others, there's something about that which just raises your perspective of it. Just makes you feel more positively because your mind is focused on something else and somebody else rather than the problems, the emotion, the drain, the the depression. Like, it gets you outside of yourself. And so I've had family just telling me, get outside of yourself, focus on other things. Like, and I have, a family member who has and they're both air moons, which are about like getting outside, meeting people, and doing all that. So it makes perfect sense. And I have, an air moon, so I'm also about that. So it's a very air moon lesson to teach, is getting outside of yourself. So use the previous energy of Libra, or use Aquarius. Like, Aquarius gets outside of itself. Aquarius is so outside of itself that it interacts with all these other people, all these other groups. So Aquarius energy is saying, get outside of yourself and do all that. But it's very, very difficult for Scorpios to do this. Like, I have a lot of compassion for you. Like, you can't just do it, because I've been through the Scorpionic emotions. You first have to be willing to talk about it with others, with people in your life, and then move on to other things. Like, it's about talking to them, and then after you've talked about it, move on. Find something else to get you out of your mind and get your mind off it once, because you have to get it off your chest. Like, you can't just ignore and suppress it. You have to get it off your mind and chest, and then it's easier to focus on other things when you do that. And then, part of what I talked about, a little thing that I mentioned in that Pluto and Aquarius video or podcast, was, feeling alienated on social media. Like, really, really feeling alienated from certain people. Like, it can be a place where we judge others, where we put others down, a very, very divisive place where it's the Wild West. Like, anyone can come on and say anything in comments or whatever. Where if you're so caught up, so stuck in social media, like technology, because Scorpio can get very, very depressed, and Scorpio is one of those signs that can actually suffer from the downturns of social media, because it's like, all these opinions looking at yourself, and then you're so stuck in your own shadows. Like, instead, surround yourself with social media groups and videos and content, and those on social media that can lift you up instead of tear you down. And so we can use social media as a force for negativity and judgment. Or, and I'm talking to all of you watching this, by the way, that are on social media that plan to comment something under this video, or we can use it as a way to lift others up and encourage and bring somebody out of their shadows, bring somebody out of their deep emotions. And I hope that I do that with my videos and my content that I produce, that I don't judge or shame or condemn signs or condemn certain people through my videos and content. Like, I don't have any intention of doing that, nor do I want to. So that's what I wanted to say with that. Sagittarius, this is getting along. Sagittarius is about religion. And religion is a form of belief system. And Sagittarius is here to form its own beliefs about life. However, Sagittarius is very, very sensitive. It's a very, very sensitive sign. And it's sensitive because, sensitive people need freedom. Need the freedom. Like, often, like, you're hurting me. Like, I need to be liberated. Like, some do it through security, but Sagittarius does it through freedom and exploration. So in that way, it does have kind of some sensitive qualities here. That's a little insight that I just kind of came up with about the Sagittarius sign. You may think sensitive. Sagittarius isn't sensitive. It's very, go get him and, out there. But I think that sensitive can have multiple meanings, and it's a very, very general term. So we can't just label sensitive as just one thing. I think, I kind of explained that there. Like, there's, nuance to all these kind of things like that. Not that there's nuance to perfectionism, though. I do have a, strong belief about that, like turning, something bad into a good thing. Like, some things are just bad, and that's the way it is. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. But anyway, any belief that has been imposed on you, that has been forced on you, about your life. And I actually have another point here, but I don't want to make it too confusing. Like, letting go of those beliefs, well, maybe I'll bring it in anyway, because I have it here. Letting go of those, it's kind of, this kind of thing. Well, I'll just tie it in here, because this is what I'm feeling is right to talk about during this. So, any beliefs that, any old beliefs that others have forced onto you, that others, have, projected onto you about themselves, like, you only are allowed to do this, or you only need what you need, or, oh my goodness, there is something about religions that is so disempowering. Like, I am, for example, I am a Christian. And the thing is, God loves you. I'm talking to, okay, I'm talking to those who are of the Christian religion, so, excuse me, I don't want to project. But, for those who are watching this who are of the Christian religion, like, God loves you. And it is an unconditional, soft, warm, loving love. God will not punish you, or you don't have to follow these rules, otherwise you will end up in, hell, or whatever. You will be condemned, or, sinful if you do all these things. Like, spirituality is about, like not making those things not bad, but I think that we have to understand with God that we have to reframe this, like, God is forgiving. God sees your flaws, and He will, remind you. He will bring you situations, like, Spirit will bring you situations which will teach you lessons out of wisdom and compassion for you, doing those things that were wrong, making those mistakes, doing all that. And I think that we should reframe religion as this disempowering thing. We have to follow this higher power and obey these rules and do all this. Like, that is a very, very limiting belief and way of living religion. So that's what I want to focus here, is religious beliefs. But any beliefs in general, but especially religious beliefs. So any religious belief that, because Sagittarius is very, very tied into this, that it's just like any belief that disempowers you, any belief that, puts you down, and, and makes you feel like, in order to be a good person, you have to follow this kind of thing. Like, I was reading a thing about money, and I was like, I disagree. Like, you don't need to prove to God that you are worthy of love by doing things for others. You are worthy enough already, and God should love you already. Like, I read that article, and I was like, yes, it's good to do good things for others, but I just interpreted it the way that it was saying, as, thy good thy goodwill will be done to you, as you do to others, is something like that is still true. But, it doesn't mean that, you have to be, worthy of love in the eyes of others. It is good to love from a very, very heart-centered place and give, but, all those kind of things like that when it comes to that. So I just read that and thought it was just empowering. So, the other thing with Sagittarius is something different that I wanted to talk about. Is looking at what is the next big quest, next big adventure. Like Sagittarius is always like, I want to travel to Spain, I want to go island hopping, I want to pet the pandas in the zoo, I want to walk on the beach, like I want to or want to like what the thing is, run a marathon, or do all that. Like, life is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to understand this. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. You have all the time in the world to pursue your goals, and part of that is being here now. Like, enjoying one step at a time, as opposed to getting caught in the excitement and thrill and the need to just get it done right now, right at this moment. You can actually just be here now with I'm doing this goal, and I'm approaching this goal one step at a time, very, very closely. Like, I have this goal that I want, because Sagittarius is about, achieving goals, but I'm, approaching it, one step at a time. Or what it could be is, just enjoying the smaller moments of life and getting out of, your next quest, and enjoying, you can learn from Gemini energy to enjoy, where you are now, where you are, right now, in this moment with your immediate environment, like looking at the details of your immediate environment, what's going on you around right now. So being present is very, very important. And then, Sagittarius, this is a transit to liberate yourself. So looking very, very deeply, because Pluto is very, very deep, at where you've tried to fit in, when you were just fenced in to, to all these rules and restrictions. Because Sagittarius wants to be, a horse. It wants to be liberated from this. So now is the time to break free from your cage and form your own beliefs. This is the time to break free from those conditions and those beliefs and form your own beliefs and basically live a life according to those beliefs. So that's what Sagittarius is here to do, and this is very, very empowering for Sagittarius in that way. Alright, so moving on to Capricorn. Now, with Capricorn energy, this is getting long. I'm very, very aware that this is getting very, very long. This is a big transit. Capricorn can look at, you can look very, very deeply at the other authority, other, okay, I want to slow down now. Capricorn is taught at an early age that you must work hard for what you want. Capricorn is taught to obey authority, obey tradition, obey your elders, respect your parents before you, respect governments, respect your teachers. It's very, very conditioned into respecting authority. Respecting, people above them. And so, how has that negatively impacted you and kept you from reaching your personal goals? Or have they disempowered you when it comes to you obeying this external authority? And Pluto was in your sign, and part of it was inner authority. How can you get out of the external authority and be your sovereign self and turn on your inner authority? I have these long-term goals, and I'm approaching them in a methodical, grounded way because these are my goals and I want to carve out for my life I'm going to get out into the world and be ambitious and make it happen because these are my goals. Like having self-respect is one of the Capricorn lessons. It's having self-respect for your own goals and not always having to conform to the external authority. So that's something to consider with that. And then being open to Capricorn is just so conventional, so like by the book, doing things the way that things have always been done. Like if you climb up the mountain this way, you're supposed to wear these shoes for climbing up the mountain. You're supposed to approach goals in this way. You're supposed to be methodical and logical and do taxes in this way, or build bridges in this way, or do whatever. And later as the years go by, we'll have more insights to bring into this probably. But I'm doing what I can right now with how knowledgeable I am at this point in my life. So where you're sticking to what is just the old, what is same old, same old. And so, when you are, doing this, you're limiting yourself from new ideas, new ways of looking at the world, new perspectives of looking at the world. So now it's about looking at the world through those, new perspectives and new lens, and being open to innovative ideas. Like how can you achieve your goals in a way that is innovative, in a way that is different. Or maybe your goals are so conventional. Like Capricorn is invited to get out of their stuck, conventional, by the book ways of doing things and move into something more progressive, more open, more liberated, more futuristic. And I'd say that Capricorn and Aquarius get along great as signs. That's what I say. I think that they get along great because Aquarius is ruled by both Saturn and Uranus. So Aquarius and Capricorn complement each other very, very well. I think that as signs, they're very, very compatible with each other, even though they're next to each other and they're very, very different energies. They both come from Saturn. They're both ruled by Saturn. So Aquarius is tells Capricorn, hey, break out of these limiting structures and systems and innovate, reimagine, reinvent. So, and so Capricorn is so concerned with the past, the past traditions, the past history, the past lessons. Now it's time to look to the future. The point of history is what have we learned from the past, and how can we form a better tomorrow? How can we improve as humanity? And how can you from your life, this is talking to you, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, what are the lessons that you've learned in the past, and how can you become a better version of yourself in the future from those lessons? Capricorn is the sign related to history, because Capricorn is the past traditions, and Capricorn is about the lessons that we learn. That's why Capricorn relates to history. There's something about Cancer relates to history. There's something to that, but I think it's more Capricorn than Cancer. So, and the only thing is, and also, you don't have to go up it alone. You can actually intellectually, Aquarius also tells Capricorn, you don't have to, approach your goals all on your own. You can, achieve them with others. You can go out and meet others and share ideas about these goals, and work with others to, climb up this mountain with others, not just by yourself. You're not meant to just live a life by yourself. None of us are meant to do that. And so this is time to include others in that picture, and allow that in, and be open-minded towards others, because Aquarius comes after you, and it is very, very open-minded as a sign. Following this is Aquarius. So this is your transit, Aquarius. Pluto is transforming things of your sign. So, now you're being invited to tap into the energy of Leo. Look to your opposite sign. You are so concerned with rationality and logic and the cold, logical, facts of life. Like Leo is a heart-centered energy. Leo is a childlike energy that just has an innocence about it, just has a spark about it, just has a life force to it that's like, that's like, I want to, connect in with my heart. I want to connect with what gives me joy. Like Aquarius, you can be so caught up in new ideas and innovating that tap into your heart's joy. Don't forget about what gives you joy in your heart. What brings you joy. Really getting honest. What brings you joy? As Pluto brings up the shadows, you don't want to get caught up in the shadow. So, what brings you joy, Aquarius? Have you thought of what brings you joy? Have you considered what brings you joy? You have 20 years to really consider this and sit on this. Like this is the transit that you can spend 20 years considering that this is going on. So, you can refer back to this video if you so wish. So, so tapping into your heart is very important, doing what gives you joy. So how do you use your technology? And how do you use technology? The title of the Pluto and Aquarius video is Technology for Good or Evil. Like, do you use it to lift others up? Or like I talked about this with Scorpio a little bit. Do you use it to lift others up and create a more equal, beautiful world? Or do you use it for, negative reasons? Like, being very conscientious of how you use technology. Like what you use it for, not just computers and online, but use the plow to destroy the croplands, use a pen to write very nasty stuff and send it to people, or use a stove and burn somebody's hand, or do you use it to cook something or write very inspirational message? Like, how you use technology is up to you. You can use it for good or for evil, and that's really worth considering. And so Aquarius is here to march to the beat of their own drum in this life. And so this is a time to question any limiting pattern, any limiting authority figure that has limited you from being your true self, being your authentic self. I feel like I've talked about this with Aquarius before. And I'll keep talking about it again, like, breaking free from your limitations and constraints from you standing out. Like maybe you were not allowed to stand out and choose your own styles and form your own trends, and like Aquarius is a trendsetter, and create your own creations and do things that others are not doing, and Aquarius is not here to follow and go along with it. So Aquarius is here to not do what everybody else is doing, basically. And march to the beat of their own drum instead of herd mentality or following the crowd. And at worst, Aquarius can get caught up in group think. That's the shadow of Aquarius. And so, marching to the beat of your own drum is, what Aquarius is, really, all about. So breaking free from those limitations and doing that. Now, the very last thing is if there's any wounds, and this can come from authority, this can come from family. Like this is about you being your free self. Like if there's any wounds around you being your authentic self, like being free to march to the beat of your own drum, and any ideas that you need to face when it comes to this, or excuse me, any wounds around your freedom of ideas. Like, I just wanted to say that, like any wounds around your freedom of ideas, like you being free to have your own ideas about things, because Aquarius wants to have its own original ideas. It doesn't want to be conformed to others' ideas. So, if there's anybody limiting you from having your own ideas and thoughts about things, then this is time to liberate yourself from that and empower yourself like that. And these are the shadows that you may need to face from that. So Pisces, last and least but not Pisces, we are at the end. If you watched the whole video or you're at Pisces now. So Pisces is caught in emotions and getting caught in the mess of the emotional realms, where it is so they're so tuned in and so sensitive. It is probably the most sensitive sign because it's tuned into not just your family, not just your immediate life, but the whole world, the whole the whole world, and and everybody's problems, and especially in this case, authorities limiting you. Like, now you're being invited to rise out of the emotions to get on your bird, like there's a meditation about getting on your bird, and becoming more objective with these things. I mean, getting out of all the, emotions of all these sensitivities of these wounds that you may have, and rising into something more objective, like, and you find peace in yourself when you can rise into the logical mind. Like, there's something peaceful about being so caught in the emotions and detaching, like detaching from this and getting on an eagle's perch and saying, this is draining my energy, and I'm going to be logical about this, and I'm going to choose to really, really, tap into that. Like, Pisces is kind of like, it's kind of like, this is a stretch for me right now. It's kind of like when you rise out of the logical mind. It's like, there's a freedom when it comes to that. And Pisces wants to be free. Like, Pisces is a sign that needs their freedom and needs their space. So you can find freedom with this. And so, now also Aquarius is about, not only about objectivity, but about collaboration with others and communities. So this is about going out into the world and realizing that it takes, a village to raise a child. If you've ever heard that saying, like, it takes others to make a reality. It takes people as individuals to make a reality. Like, if you have these, like, I'm talking dreams for these world, like these, you have often these very, very lofty dreams, but you cannot do it alone, Pisces. You can't do it alone. You have a lot of power, but you need others to sort of help you. Like, allow others to help you make these dreams a reality. Like, allow others to, serve you in that way. So, you can go out into the world and, and make your dream a, reality with others. Understanding the value of others coming together and having a shared vision, and working with others to make your dream a reality. So so not just doing it on your own over the next 20 years, but coming together in that way. Now, if you so happen to play video games or use technology for escapism, that can become very, very unhealthy for you. So recognizing, where am I overdoing the escaping, overdoing the the video games and the or it doesn't have to be just video games. That's one example, but just using technology as a way to escape. And where is that unhealthy? Because one of the things I talked about is just getting so disconnected from your body, and and so attached to phones and computers and all this technology. So Pisces can get so in an escape route of things, so caught up in the in the realms of its fantasies and its illusions, that it lose sight of its fantasies in this case, and it lose sight of connecting with its body and grounding. Like, Pisces is also here to ground into its body. That's an evolved version of Pisces that can use the Virgo energy to be practical and grounded. So grounding into your body is very, very important. Putting your feet on the ground and living with both feet firmly planted on the ground. Meditation, like, you can use these things to help you. The final thing is, Pisces has this thing where they just feel kind of like Aquarius. but Pisces is just so imaginative, and they just have these really, really weird ideas that just come out of nowhere because it's from their imagination. It's what nobody's heard of. It's like this really where they feel like they just don't fit in. Like if you have Pisces sun, moon, and rising, maybe particularly Pisces rising, there's this part of you, this soul part of you that doesn't feel like you quite fit in. Like, does this feel familiar? Like you have all these really, really weird, imaginative ideas out of nowhere, but weird doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a good thing. Um, and maybe if you do feel emotionally constrained with, not being allowed to, be in your imagination and explore your imagination and, live from that place of imagination and with this conditioning of being normal. Like, Aquarius kind of, like normal is a setting on the dryer. As Deborah Silverman talks about. There is no normal because everybody is unique and everybody is different from each other in their own way. Normal, if everything were normal, everything would be flat and the same, and everyone would be the same, doing the same things, same personality, same, everything. There would be no texture, there would be no forced, interest in life. So, now it's about, being your kind of allowing yourself to be, have your own imaginative ideas and and not feel like you always have to fit in with everyone else, and follow the rational things which you don't want to have anything to do with this rational logical reality. So so there you go. You don't have to fit in. And Aquarius is like, you don't have to fit in. So that's what you're being encouraged over this next 20 years. Oh my gosh, this has been the longest podcast over the signs that I have done. There is so much here. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast. I hope that you found value and insight from what this means from your sign, for your sign, and what it could mean for you with this transit. And share this video, like this video, do all the things, and you can really, really take the information, and you don't have to follow it, but just consider it. Just be open to this information. And I really, really, honestly, I don't want to overwhelm you, and I don't want to overwhelm myself with information. So, maybe I'll dial it back. I don't know, but I do it in a way where 4 events per month, certain points that I want to make in this that I don't want to go too specifically into. But that is all that I have to say. I mean, I've done videos with the same amount of time, and they've lasted 40 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, which is pretty appropriate for all the signs. So this just happens to be one of the longer ones. So anyway, I'm gonna get off now. Enough talking, and bye for now. Listening to this podcast.